Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome on in. Welcome to Reading Between the Wines. Today's Wednesday, May 14th. Welcome on in. We are going to heal the hustler tonight. We're going to have a great show tonight. But if you can please do me a favor, please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend. Come on in, invite them in to Reading Between the Wines. We're on episode 13. Almost forgot that for a minute. Episode 13, Healing the Hustler, Disc 5, Restoration. And before we get started, I want to go ahead and give a very special thank you to my executive producer. I want to thank God for giving me another opportunity, another challenge when it comes to producing content. I'm able to come out here one more time in life and give you the 411 podcast, Reading Between the Wines. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody out there who supports. I mean, each and every day I find out that there's new people who watch me, listen, and I had no idea. I learn new things every day. So I want to say thank you to the people out there. And one way that you can let me know that you're rocking with me, one way you can let me know, of course, is by sharing this content. What do they say? Sharing is caring. So please go ahead and share this video, share the link, bring new people in. And I always say that if I can just get to one person, I'm not trying to move the masses. If that happens during the process during this journey, then so be it. But if we could just get through to one person and have one person have a breakthrough, then we made it. And of course, when two or more are gathered together, there's bound to be magic. So welcome in tonight, Healing the Hustler. And let's get into the recap of the last show. So the last show we spoke about invisible weight, saying one thing and doing another, living a lie. How many of us out there have lived lies, tried to get along? What do they say? Keeping up with the Joneses, living beyond our means. When you do that, you have some invisible weight. People can't see it, but you feel it. People can't see it, but you feel it. But most importantly, during all of that, the only person that you are deceiving and lying to is yourself. That high price life, it has a cost. And for some of you out there, I just have to ask the question, are you willing to pay the cost to be the boss? And of course, I spoke about the Pussycat Dolls. I love them, and especially that song where they say, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. And there were plenty of times where I wanted things that I probably shouldn't have. And, when you lust after certain things, when you want things, when greed kicks in, be careful what you get. Be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. And that's exactly what happens. And then when we get it, if you're anything like me, you become miserable and you tell yourself, this is what I was seeking after. This is what I was chasing after. Now that I got it, I don't want it and I'm trying to get rid of it. So be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. And it can come in so many different forms. It can come from people, places, things, the jewelry, the cars, the clothes, the houses. It's good to have nice things, but don't let nice things have you. I'm going to say that again. It's good, to have nice things, but don't let nice things have you. So, are you in charge of your finances today, or have you become a slave to the lender? That's just a rhetorical question. Replay that in the back of your mind. Are you working for you, or are you working for all of those material things that you accumulated over a period of time? Are you working because you have to? In a minute that you don't, everything that you focused on the outer, because I spoke the other night about how man just looks on the outside. We look for the outer appearance. We don't worry about the inside. We don't worry about healing on the inside. I'm not speaking for everybody, but you know, majority out there, they don't worry about healing on the inside. They focus on the outside. So, are you in charge of your finances today? Or have you become a slave to the lender? Do you have to focus and get in the grind and make it do what it do? And the minute that you don't, the gig is up. Everybody's going to see. Everybody's going to know because things are going to start to change. The outer appearance would change because it's just a lifestyle. But can you keep up with that lifestyle? Hmm. Let's get on into this song of the day. Poured Up by Miss Rihanna. Released in 2012 off of her Unapologetic album. I love this album. This is one of my favorite Rihanna's albums. And of course, I'm sure you all have heard that she's pregnant again. So congratulations to Rihanna and ASAP. But I just want to know one question. When's the album coming out? I mean, I've been waiting. I know the true Rihanna fans have been out there waiting for a long time. So when's this album coming out? So we speaking about healing the hustler, and we're going to find out a little more as we go through this. But I want you to just think about the song "Pour It Up." In the song, we speaking about dollar bills and money on my mind, and it's just living that life, which I spoke about. And we still on this theme, this high price life. So this is what it is, and there's a cost to it all. So, but just be careful, because be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And what I say is, you can have a little bit of everything that you want in life. You just can't get too crazy over any one thing. So be careful of repeat patterns, because your repeat patterns, they should be monitored, and you have to get with self. Everything starts with self. So when you start to see that you're going through and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, repeat patterns become habits. So especially when you're going through an emotional turbulent period in your life, which life happens, we all go through things, but sometimes we can get into this routine if we're not careful, especially during an emotional period, whether it's a breakup, whether it's a big transition in your life, whether it's a breakdown, whether it's a shakeup, whether it's a setback. You have to be very careful, because that is a very crucial moment in everybody's lives. So you got to be careful about the people that you hang around. You got to be careful with picking up certain habits, whether it be shopping, whether it be drinking, whether it be clubbing, whether it be whatever. Because if you start doing things over and over and over again, and it becomes a habit, it becomes a routine, then sometimes it can be hard to shake, because now we have an addiction. These can become crutches, these can become distractions, and usually this happens when there's a setback. We want to go ahead and do something to try to make ourselves feel better. But remember, don't get so caught up on trying to figure out the outside. Focus on the inner, and then it'll pour out on the outside, rather than doing it in reverse, where we focus on the outside. We want to dress up the outside. We want to do the outside. Remember, we doing us right now. That's what we tell everybody. I'm doing me. Like Fantasia, I'm doing me this time around. Be careful with all of that. All of that stuff is distractions. And distractions are only designed to take you further away from your financial destination. That's all. Whatever it is, whatever goal, whatever dream you have, distractions are going to show up. You got to be very careful. And some of you might say, well, what are distractions? Now I'm going to give you that definition. My definition of a distraction is investing time and resources into any people, places, or material things that don't contribute into moving the needle in your financial favor. And I'll say that again. Investing time and resources into any people, places, and material things that don't contribute to moving the needle in your financial favor. Be careful. That's all I'm saying. Be careful. Don't be carrying that invisible weight. All right, so let's get into this. We have a wine that we are going to sample tonight. We have Canyon Road Moscato. This is a California wine, and we are sampling the 2020 version. So, Canyon Road is inspired by the scenic roads that wander through California's stunning wine country. Canyon Road's winemaker, Raphael Joffrey, crafts beautifully structured wine that expresses true variantal character. Canyon Road Moscato is light. It's a light bodied and sweet with aromas of orange, blossom, peach, and floral. And this bottle is 8.5% in alcohol content. So it's not super high up there when it comes to the alcohol content. I know some people get hung up on that. I don't. I just want good quality wine. And I think we are going to capture this here tonight. So, of course, this is a Moscato. It is the Moscato grape, California region, your typical California wine. It does have a 4-star rating. The reviews were pretty good on this. And I would say middle down the pack. It's not going to be too light. It's not going to be too bold. Not too dry, not too sweet. Not too soft and not overly acidic. You will get hints of peach, pear, green apple, honey, citrus, orange, and lemon. And this wine pairs well with shellfish, vegetarian dishes, poultry, pasta, rich fish. When we speak about rich fish, we're speaking about the hearty ones, salmon and tuna, so you get like, I just think about Moscato with salmon and tuna. Salmon and tuna is going to be a little fishier, a little richer. So then you have something sweeter like Moscato. It's making my mouth water already. Moscato will like balance that out. So I like that. And then any other lean fish. But really, I see a nice, thick piece of salmon that would go well with Moscato. Anybody out there feeling me, let me know. Drop it in the comments, let me know. But that sounds so good right about now. So here's one of the reviews. Nose is deceiving. Sharp, almost sour apple notes. Unripe grapes. Surprisingly sweet on the palate, but not too heavy. Balanced well with acidity. Oh, I didn't even take a sip yet. Let me rewind that. Balanced well with the acidity beautifully. High acid on the finish, but not unpleasant. Definitely impressed. So this wine bottle is going to be anywhere between $10 and $11. And I was able to get mine for $8. So saved a couple bucks there. Remember, we're on this financial journey, so I'm not saying that we can't do and have nice things, but remember, don't let nice things have you. So you got to be careful with some of the things that we indulge in, and I'm not saying to go the cheap route, but be very careful with some of the things. And I'm bringing you quality wines at decent prices, so for people can enjoy and splurge, do a little bit for you without breaking the bank and feeling like you created some sort of financial crisis. So, and then when it comes time for those expensive wines, when you want to go and get that bottle and, treat yourself for any special occasion, anniversaries, things like that, you can do so because you have done it responsibly over a period of time. That's what we're speaking about here tonight. So cheers. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my friend author Birdman 313 while I go ahead and sample this, and I'll give you my take on this wine. I agree. It definitely is not overly sweet. Right down the middle. Yeah, this is it. What's going on? How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
I am doing good. How are you
Man,
doing?
just trying to stay cool here, man. It's like in the 90s here.
I don't even want to talk to you. You know what? Show is over. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining Reading Between the Wines. I will see y'all next week.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna let you know what we dealing with here in good old New Jersey. I'm snuggled up right now as I'm sampling this wine, and I almost went to red because this time of year I do white and blush wines to get ready for this hot, good weather, which what you're dealing with down there. But right now, I don't know what the temperature is, but it's rainy, it's cold, it's dreary. This is the second week in a row that I've had to deal with this
I've
nonsense.
been seeing that on the news. I've been like we've been getting we've been in the 90s. My sons, they stay in San Antonio and it's been 100 degrees for the last couple of days there.
I was speaking to my family yesterday, and I said, I don't know who would want to retire in New Jersey, but I don't. And as soon as I can get out of here, I'm out of
I
here.
heard that.
That's good though. 100
Yeah.
degrees, and this is Texas,
Yes, it
right?
is. But you got what you got to remember is the humidity. That's what makes it so uncomfortable.
Nah, I take it all. I embrace it all. I don't care. Humidity, hot, dry heat,
Okay.
heat, heat on top of heat. All people say, I can't deal with the humidity. Oh, but that's different because it's dry heat. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna let you know right now the type of person that I am. Humidity, heat, hot, heat, heat on top of hot, humidity on top of hot. I want it all. I want to embrace it all, and I want it 365 days out of the year.
Wow.
I'm going to the desert.
Oh yeah. Oh, you will get it there. But then at nighttime it get cold.
That's all right, though. That's all right because, like they say, the sun always going to rise again, right? So the next day we right back
Yep.
on it. So we here, Wind Down Wednesday, winding down. So I got a question for you tonight. Are we going to be able to heal the hustler?
That depends on if that hustler wants to be healed.
I know that's right. Because you can't help people who don't want to help themselves,
Right. I
right?
mean, because once a person start doing things in a certain way for a long period of time, it's hard for them, especially if they're hustling, it's hard for them to stop hustling and just start doing what we call the right way. But personally, we all hustle.
Mm,
That's how I feel it. Like I had poetry books, and that's my hustle there. you know,
I got
but I'm not
you. Yeah.
doing it. My hustle is not to hurt anybody. So
Mm,
it's a difference between you can hustle and hurt people or hustle to help people.
mm. That makes sense. That's a good sense. Just like there's good and there's evil, you can put out good causes and you could put out evil causes. But one thing that we know, you will reap what you sow. So even though people who are out there who are, and I spoke about this with someone earlier today, people are out there who are putting evil causes out there, the return may not come immediately, but it definitely will. And evildoers never prosper. So mm,
Exactly.
that's a good point. That's a good point. All right. Well, we I got this book here, The Secret, and first time that I heard about this book, it was on Steve Harvey. And I always listened to his radio show. He inspired me so much, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing here today. Shout out to Mr. Steve Harvey, and he was speaking about this book called The Secret. So I picked it up when I saw it, and we're also going to be speaking about books that changed our lives. So give me a number anywhere between, let's say here what we got here tonight. We are going to go with number, let's say, 1 through, let's see what got here, 185.
55.
55? Why 55? I know we spoke about numbers before. Tell me about
55 is the year
55.
I was born. So
Mm.
yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that it's so mystical in here tonight, and you never know what you're going to get when you come into the 411 podcast and reading between the wines. And tonight, we are speaking about healing the hustler, and I'm going to speak. I didn't get there yet, but I see this how mystical this is showing up. And right now, I'm going to speak about action. And there are no coincidences in life. And I spoke about action. I just didn't get to it yet because it's already pre written. So this is bigger than me, and I had nothing to do with this. But Birdman, we didn't, rehearse this. This is live. And he picked 55. And what do you know? 55 is speaking about action. So this lets me know that this thing is bigger than me. And God is all over this. So 55 says action will sometimes be required, but if you're really doing it in line with what the universe is going to feel joyous, you're going to feel so alive, time will just stop and you can do it all day. Action is a word that can imply work to some people, but inspired action will not feel like work at all. The difference between inspired action and action is this: inspired action is when you are acting to receive. If you are in action to try to make it happen, you have slipped backwards. Inspired action is effortless and it feels wonderful because you're on the frequency of receiving. Imagine life as if it is a fast moving river. When you're acting to make something happen, it feels as if you're going against the current of the river. It will feel hard and it'll feel like a struggle. When you're acting to receive from the universe, you will feel as if you are flowing with the current of the river. It'll feel effortless. This is what feeling this is what the feeling of inspired action or being in the flow of the universe and life. Sometimes you will not even be aware that you use action until after you've received because the act or the acting felt so good. You will then look back and see that the wonder and the matrix of how the universe carried you to whatever you wanted and also brought whatever you wanted to you. Interesting. What do you feel about that?
That's very, like you said, that's interesting. you know, it's just like I said, it was a number I picked, and it seemed like that was a blessed number. Because last week I chose my birthday,
Hmm.
and this year, the day I chose the year. So I guess, hey, I can see now that I was born on a good day at a good time.
I know that's right. So let's figure out how this action is going to play in part because we're getting ready to go to Brooklyn. So, oh, and by the way, I will tell you that this is some good wine. I have been sampling it generously. So we'll see how this flows, but this is some pretty good wine. So sampling the Canyon Road wine, just read a piece from The Secret, got it all set up when it comes to the word action and inspired action. So we on this action level, and we're gonna go on over to Brooklyn, New York, and see what type of action Miss Crystal is making towards her cause. Crystal is a bartender. And check this out, she's an author of unpublished poetry. Now, before we even get into it, unpublished. Birdman, does that sound like she's taking action or no action?
No action.
Mm. Now, you see how this is just lining up and you picked 55 and it landed on that page?
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what Miss Crystal has going on here tonight. Crystal pours drinks to numb her own emotional pain. She's divorced, she has debt, and a dream which is deferred. She reads healing books like The Secret, which I just read, and As a Man Thinketh. I also read that one as well, but feels stuck between what she reads and what she feels. Her debt feels like chains and she needs an emotional release. I'll go ahead and take us through that again. Crystal pours drinks to numb her own emotional pain. She's divorced, she's in debt, and her dreams have been deferred. She reads healing books like The Secret and As a Man Thinketh, but she feels stuck between what she reads and what she feels. Her debt feels like chains and she needs an emotional release. So, what help do you have for Miss Crystal? What words of inspiration, encouragement do you
If
have
she
for Miss Crystal? What do you think her
if she
problem?
pouring drinks for herself,
Yeah, she's a bartender. Okay, so I don't know how this works. I would assume that it's probably after work, after the bar closes, because I don't believe that you can have drinks before. But I could be wrong. Anybody who's in this field, let me know. But I would think she's probably pouring drinks. Actually, I would say she could be pouring them before she goes to work to get started. Maybe she's sneaking throughout the shift. Maybe she's doing it at afterwards, but she's definitely indulging in alcoholic beverages on a regular basis.
first of all, it's the what's holding her back is the drinking. That's how I read what
Mm,
because you had sent that to me, and I looked it over a few times, and I'm like, okay, the key word you said defer everything else, and
mm,
then I
mm-hmm,
was looking at that, and I'm like, okay, she's pouring drinks, she's trying to numb the things that she's been hurt by. But what she don't realize is
mm,
when that drunkenness or whatever that feeling it makes her is over with, she still have that same problem there. She's still in debt. She's still
right.
divorced. So I mean,
Mm-hmm,
drinking is not helping her at all. And first of all, and then she's working as a bartender, and that really doesn't help at all because I was a drug and alcohol counselor at one time, and we always, our thing was if you want to make changes, you got to change people, places, and things. And
mm,
that's the motto. And that's, you learn that as no matter if you're an alcohol or drug counselor, it's people, places, and things you have to change. Um, so she would have to get out the bartending business and find something else to do that so that she don't have alcohol on her mind because the temptation is there just by her being a bartender and she's pouring drinks for
mm-hmm,
people. That temptation is there. I mean, because
mm-hmm,
at
mm-hmm,
they have a rodeo down here, and they also have a cook off. And hey, man, I used to bartend. I bartend like 3 or 4 times. Hey, man, I used to slip me a drink all the time, but I wasn't the only one. All the ones who did bartending, that's what they did. They slip a drink or two.
mm. Okay, so she probably definitely is getting lit throughout
Yes,
the night.
yes.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Okay. I totally agree. I'm gonna go through this line by line. So pouring the drinks to numb her emotional pain, just like you said, you're just covering things up, covering it up, and then the next day you probably feel 10 times worse. So I agree with that. The divorce is still there. So now you have to ask your question: why? What role did I play in this divorce? Um, you know, it happened. So now what are we gonna do to get past this? But moving past it is realizing the part that you played. See, a lot of times in these relationships, when things go south, friendships, whatever the case may be, when there's a breakup, when there's a shakeup, we are so quick to point the finger and blame the other person, saying that they did something to us. But I truly believe that. people can't do anything to you unless you allow them to. So the signs are probably there. My mentor always tells me, Laren, you're going to know a person within the first 3 months. And the problem is that if you didn't catch on the first 3 months, that's probably because you were focused on something else. And in this day and age, let's just keep it real. Um, Social media, you can see everything you need to see before you even meet the person. So maybe, and I don't know what the situation is, that they were focusing on things and she didn't see the red flags coming, and she didn't realize what her role was in this. You allowed this to happen. You allowed this person to play game, do whatever they did, and unfortunately, there's a divorce. I don't see any kids in this, so I would hope that there's no kids in this situation. But with divorce, sometimes comes debt, and I agree. Change of scenery, get out of the bartending business, get out of the nightlife. And I would say the first step of action would be is to clean up some of this debt, because that's where a lot of depression comes from and people don't even realize it. The lifestyles that they create, the things that they put on themselves, the extra responsibilities that they put on themselves to try to get along with everybody else and stay in the game and stay in the game. Maybe some of her feeling of depression and self issues would be, I'm not saying completely eliminated, but maybe chopped in half or a little more if the debt wasn't there. Because hell, I know I feel better when my bills are
Oh,
paid. How about you?
definitely, definitely. Hey, when my bills are, I see number zeros, I'm happy. But when I see a few numbers
Right.
behind it, then I kind of like, okay, what I need to do. I need to change something. And that's what I've
Yeah.
learned
Yeah.
over the years is try to work on that. And I try not to overspend. And that's easily done. That is easily done. So I kind of be like, all right, then I'm like, okay, it's time to slow down. It's time to back off and just lay low. Everybody can't do that
Mm-hmm.
though.
There was, yeah, I mean, I had a couple people tell me this past week, at least two or three people tell me that they know that they probably will not be able to stop using credit cards and overspending.
Yes.
Outright, outright told me that that's what the game is. So hey, to each his own, but I know that that's not going to work for me like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Not over. Now, this here, she reads books. I know I read from The Secret, and we went right to the page of action, and we know that she's an unpublished author. She's not taking action. There's no action. So there's a couple things she needs to take action with. Like you said, get out of that business. So you're going to have to get up and take responsibility for yourself. And that's the name of the game tonight. And that's why I said this is so mystical, because when it went right to this page, I kind of knew where we were going, and I didn't know that it would get on that page of action. But that is exactly what she needs to do. The name of the game for her is she needs to take
And
action.
you know what? What else? Just because she read books, the main thing is, do she understand what she reading? Because you can
Mm,
read you can read
that
books
part right.
all day long and you don't understand. That's how I was in high school. I read a book, didn't understand what I was reading, and just move on. I didn't realize until I got in college, and I went to because my parents they wouldn't sign the papers for me to go nowhere else. I ended up going to a Methodist private college, and
Mm-hmm.
I would go and I would read stuff. And one of my professors. They said, "Do you understand what you read?" And he said, "No." He said, "You don't even have to answer that. I already know you don't." And he said, "But
Mm,
this is what we gonna do." He said, "Cause I'm gonna work with you." He said, "You're cool," and he said, "I like you." He said, "I want you to go ahead and get your degree." And so he worked with me on reading and understanding, what I'm reading. So,
mm.
that's one of the things. Just because you read, That don't mean you understand. Just like a lot of people, just because they listen to music, that don't mean they understand music.
That's a good point. I know that for me, like I've been reading the same book for like almost 2 months now, and that's kind of long because I had a lot of other factors going in there. But for me to read a book for a month, some people get through a book in a week, but I'll stay on it for a couple weeks to a month, and I just keep going back to make sure that I understood exactly what I read. So let me go back, even though I finished chapter, I'm going to go back and reread that chapter again to make sure that I get it before I move to the next one. I write things down. I really get into the book, and I get into it so much to where I'm like, all right, I really need to get out of this book. Like I've been on one for about a month, almost going on to 2 months, and I'm at that point where like, all right, we're done with this book, but at least I got it though. So I know what you mean
Yeah,
with
because
that.
I've been reading the book. Got it a couple years ago, and I started reading it just little by little. It's by one of the famous poets, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, and it's really a good book, and it's like I think like 400 or 500 pages long. So I'm like, I'm not in no hurry
Mm,
because I don't have to tell what I know from anybody. So I may read like maybe 10 pages, you know, and then I put it down. I start doing my other things, what I do, and I keep going back. And better had it was either the day or yesterday. She said, "Oh, you're halfway through that book," and I didn't realize that I'm almost through. And sometimes I just put my earplugs on, listen to my music, and then I'll just get
mm-hmm.
to reading. But the problem with his books is he's speaking in it's English, and and then he translated into, well, he traveled the country, so whatever country he went to, he spoke in that language. So that's the part that's
Mm.
getting to me because I don't know what language it is. I don't understand it. So I
Oh, it's written in that
yeah.
language, and it's
No,
not converted
no,
to
no, it's not.
English.
It's not. So I have to, I'll skip some pages to get to the English part. So I'm like, let me back off because this is confusing me now. Because I feel like I'm missing something because I don't know what he's really saying through it. But that's just how his book is.
Mm. Well, you better than me because first of all, I couldn't even understand when people were speaking Spanish to me when I was learning it, and I got an F in school. I sure did, and I still to this day, if I known better, because my mom, when I brought that F home, she said, "Now, how the F did you get a F
Yeah.
in Spanish?" Now y'all know what she said, though. You
Oh
know the
yeah.
word she said, but how the F did you get F in Spanish? And as I replay this story to this day, I would have probably been slapped down 1,000 times. But I almost wanted to say, "Well, can you speak
Yeah.
it?"
Yeah.
but but what would have
Right.
happened. But so I I went to German after that, and I got an A. And I believe that the only reason why I got an A is because my teacher liked
Yeah.
me. Because after I got out of there, I don't know nothing about speaking German or Spanish or Italian or French. I went to France, and that was a complete disaster when I tried to purchase a bottle of water. Uh, yeah, so good luck with that book because only thing I have to say for me is absolutely not.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it because he talks about all these different poets I never heard of over in these different countries, and that's the good part
Mm,
about it, and so I'm taking it slow, enjoying it. And like I said, I when I said, well, I don't have no videos or no poems to work on or do anything with, I put my earplugs in and I'll start reading. But see, I'm the type that would read that one, then switch up, and 20 minutes later grab a book of somebody else and start reading.
I've done that before. I'm looking at my book collection as you're speaking, and my daughter told me that I probably shouldn't have as many books as I have. and I she says that when you have a lot of books and you read multiple books, like what
Uh-huh.
you just said, you can discourage yourself to where you feel that you'll never get
Yeah, well,
finished.
I don't feel that way because I don't have,
So,
I'm retired, so I don't have nothing to do but sit around and make videos and write and read and
mhm.
listen to music, and that's it. So it's all, that's how I look at it. I understand what she's saying about you because I'm quite sure you're still working. So you have to do that.
I'm, I'm yeah. I got multiple things
Yeah,
going on.
yeah,
um, but interesting. Now you said earplugs. You put
yeah.
earplugs in. What do you listen to? Regular
No,
music, or is it just like
no.
instrumental?
I have a what is that? An MP3, and I took my music off
Mm-hmm.
my computer and I put it on there,
Mm-hmm.
and I just turn it on and let it play.
So you're listening to that while you're reading the
Exactly.
book. But what, like people singing songs, or is it just like
Both.
instrumentals? Oh wow! I don't know how you concentrate with people singing and talking words, and you reading other
You
things.
know what,
Wow.
man? I
Mm,
tell people, my dad, he was a musician. And that's one thing he taught
mm-hmm.
me was he said, I'm gonna teach you something that nobody else will teach you. And he taught me no matter he said, because back then it was just all words. And he said, be able to
Mm-hmm.
watch TV, listen to
Mm-hmm.
music. And I did that, and I did that all through college. I mean, people always ask, they would come to my room and they was like, how is you doing that? I said, simple, man. I'm listening to the
Mm-hmm.
words. I'm watching TV. And, hey,
You know what that
what?
would be for me? A true definition of brain overload. Couldn't do
Uh,
it.
I had a
Couldn't do it.
supervisor one time, man. They came to my room to give us our money, because we was out of town. And he looked at me and he said, "Dude, how is you watching have TV on, got your computer on with music on?" I said, "This is something that
Mm,
I've been doing all my life." And then when you had a
wow.
mother, hey, if you had a
I
mother like I had, that was the way I drowned her out.
oh well. Would you? Well, what happens when you didn't answer what she have to say? You gonna
Now,
get
well,
something
when I
that's
seen
far
her
worse.
walk towards me, and she had that frown on her face, I'd take the headphones off. Yeah, yes, okay. Yeah, I knew. Then she was talking to me, and yes,
uh, shout out, shout out to the mothers. We just had Mother's Day this
oh
past
yeah,
weekend. So yes, I know you had some good memories this past weekend. Did you enjoy
yes, I
your
did.
weekend?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. My sister, like I said, her and I are we're not as close as we used to be. And I sent her a picture, and she asked me did I have more pictures, and she finally coming like she want pictures of mom and dad. So I sent her a bunch of them, and she sent me a message back saying thank you. I'm like, yeah. I said if I find any more, I'll send them to you.
That's good. That's good. So I think we helped Miss Crystal. I think we had gave her some good information. Remember, anything that you hear tonight on the show or you're watching a replay, we are not professionals. We are not here to give anybody any advice. So please make sure you do your due diligence and seek any professional help that you need when it comes to any emotional, mental, physical, or and in some cases financial. We are not here to be the savior. There's only one savior, and last time I checked, are you him?
Oh no,
Right,
no, no,
right,
no,
right.
no.
So, all right. So, before we move on, so how are you feeling about the mentorship series, the new version of the podcast? I know we talk a lot about money, so that makes people nervous sometimes. But besides that, how do you feel about everything?
I feel comfortable about it. Give me a chance to speak up. I'm hoping to have a matter of fact, next week Wednesday, just before your program, I'm hoping to have it's called an author's interview,
Mm-hmm.
and it was people that on Instagram that contacted me.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, and it's a 30-minute interview, and so like it's helping me because now I can express myself a little bit better. I'm
Yeah.
always gonna leave out something because that's just human nature.
Mm.
But so far, yeah, it's helping me to really be able to talk,
Yeah.
not be ashamed like I used to be,
Uh-huh.
and I just feel it's helpful because, and then plus, it's getting me ready for any open mics or book festivals I may be going to in the future.
Mm-hmm. You're getting those reps in. It's all about repetition. So
Yes.
that's good. That's good. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to stay. So, um, if you'd like to chime in or join in on anything tonight, we're getting ready to get into our next segment, which is burning questions. Please feel free to text me at 609 200 1098. Again, that number is 609 200 1098. That is the official 411 podcast reading between the Wines hotline, 609 200 1098. You can also DM me on any of my social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and email me at info@larengaines.com if you'd like us to take a crack at one of your burning questions.
Hey, can I say something right quick?
Sure.
I just got a message from one of my sons. He said that he's on listening. I would just like to say thank you because him and we talk a lot, and I miss being around him and his younger brother. But I'm just glad that he showed up. And I don't know if the other one got on because I know he's in Austin right now working. And I know they're having session at the Capitol. So I don't know if that's what he's doing because he's been there for a couple of days. So if
Hmm.
he is, I like to say, hey, thank you for supporting me.
That's good. That's what's up. Always love family support, especially when it comes from your generation. And we're going to have a topic one night where we speak about how we see it, our younger version in our children. I was
Oh, wait.
when you see your younger version in your children, sometimes all you can do is just shake your head. Because when I'm around my daughters, I see bits and pieces of myself from when I was younger, and I'm like, well, you know what? I used to do that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
used
yeah.
to do. So, yeah, we definitely have to do that one day. Um, Burning question for tonight. And we've been on speaking about books, and of course, we speak about books and wine. So, but this one, I want to take it to another notch compared to last week. So, this one is which book helped you read between the lines of your own life and inspired a real change? Again, that's which book helped you read between the lines of your own life and inspired a real change?
Wow. I know last week I gave you a few books, but I know one of them is anything that Sigmund Freud or anything that they write about him. For whatever reason, every time I read something about him, article about him, or anything, it makes me really think. And then I try to put you know, that into my lifestyle. So I can say in any books or articles that I read about Sigmund Freud.
Now, I don't know much. I can see it spelled out. I've come across it, I've read it, but give me just like a quick, brief overview of Sigmund Freud. Like,
He was a psychologist,
okay,
and some people say he was out there.
Mm.
and I don't even remember what year he was born in, but he's it was years ago, and he deals with the mind, and he
Okay.
talks about the mind a whole lot.
Mm. I
So,
like.
like I said, huh?
I said I like that kind of stuff.
Yes. So, like I said, I learned about him in high school, a little bit about him in high school. Then when I got in college, I learned even more about him. And every once in a while, I'll go on the internet and I'll pull up, find an article about him, and read it and see what they says. And I even used it on my job when I had counseling jobs. I would read about him a lot. So that was one of the things that I did, and that's why I like him so much.
I'm like intrigued that you were a counselor. That's so interesting. I didn't know that about you.
Yes, yes, amongst other things.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
I'm going to take it back to 2020, and I hope I don't want to get the name wrong because I don't have the book anymore. But I gave it. I donated it to somebody. When I usually am done with my books, I'll donate them to somebody. But um, I don't know if I get the title right. But Ricky Minor, he uh, did some stuff with American Idol, but he had a book, and this was another Steve Harvey gem because he spoke about it, and that's when I picked up the book. Something about the extra mile. There's no traffic on the extra mile. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but I read that book in 2020, and it had the behind the scenes about the music industry, American Idol, you know, his life story, the ups and downs, the peaks and the valleys, and it just sparked me to want to read more. So from 2020 until now, I have transformed my life completely. Did a 180. I went from knowing nothing about finances to now I'm not going to say I'm a finance guru, but when you come from where I come from and the
Yeah.
information that I know today, um, I'm completely, when it comes to the stuff that I used to know, I consider myself a guru to myself, not to anybody else, if that makes sense, compared to the information that I knew before. So that book sort of opened a door a little bit because I'm, of course, I love music, so that's what drew me in. And then there's books like I have one from DJ Khaled, The Keys. Like I love when people from the music industry or artists they write books and it's like self-help motivational books because I get pulled in from the music aspect of it and then it twists my mind in a different direction when it comes to, you know, self-help and motivation and inspiration. So I would say that book because 2020, prior to 2020, I wasn't reading anything. So I would say that definitely helped me read between the lines of my own life and inspire real change because after that I started to pick up books and more books and more books and I built my library and yeah, I'm here now today.
You brought up music, and it's funny you brought that up because there there was a time when, like yourself, I wanted to be in music, and when I went out in L.A. to play ball, my cousin, we had a cousin that lived out there, and majority of the Motown musicians knew him, and they would come by. And what the things they told me, it didn't come from no book; it came from them.
Mm,
And that was it was very enlightening. And I mean, till this day, I can remember what they told me, and I kind of like sometimes I said, I'm so glad I didn't get in the music industry because there's a lot. are things people really don't know about these record labels.
Oh yeah.
So therefore, but then I it made me appreciate music even more.
Mm-hmm.
But I also said I'm glad I didn't get into it, which my dad, he said, "Oh, you gonna find out." That's all he said to me. And then Junior Walker came along and he talked to me, told me a few things. He said, "But you need to learn on your own." So
I kind of say the same thing. Like I wanted to be in it so bad, but now I'm thinking to myself, my mindset that I know today, right here, versus back then. If I was in it back then, it would have been not good. Not good.
yes,
My mindset, the
yes,
attitude, everything. It would have. I don't. Please crash and burn real quick.
yes, yes. I mean, and you know what? I sit here and I say the same thing all the time. Um, I mean, right now I'm learning how to play the bass guitar now. So
Hmm.
I'm doing music and I'm working with this lady out of Austin, putting bass tunes to songs. Me and her together, we're gonna do something Sunday, and I'm enjoying that. And like my better half, she said, "Well, she said everything you wanted to do, you're actually doing it now. Like you're playing
That's good.
music,
Hmm.
you're writing poetry." I had a friend from my hometown. Me and her, I've been knowing her ever since the kindergarten, and she said, "If you had just wrote, started writing songs the way you did, if you had to put the time in the music the way you did your poetry," she said, "you could have some awesome songs." And I thought about that, and I'm like, yeah, I said, but most of my songs got rejected. So
Mm.
therefore, when I hear that it got rejected, it was for a reason.
Absolutely. Everything that happens for good, because
Yeah,
if it didn't get rejected, then you would have been in that direction. And based off of just like myself, the lives that we lived in the past, how do we know that that wouldn't have been a disaster? How do we know that we would even still be here today?
exactly.
And how do you know that you would even be writing poetry?
Right. And see, now I get chance to go and I'm like, yeah, I don't do concert. I never wanted to be a musician to perform anywhere. I just wanted to be in the background. I wanted to write music. I wanted to produce
Uh,
music. That was my thing. And she said, "Well, you're
I-
doing poetry. You get a chance to go and do live poetry at places. You get a chance to do it on Zoom now. So really, you are fulfilling your dream."
yeah, yeah. My thing always wanted to go on tour. That was my big old thing. I'm going on
Not
tour.
me. Nah, I bet, like I said, when certain people from Motown talked to me and told me the things that they told me, I was like, wow. Actually, I had talked to he this person here was one of the writers for Richard Pryor. He was a comedy writer. His name David. And so I'm gonna use just that name there. And him and I was
Okay.
talking, and so then he said, "So I your cousin tell me you got released by the Lakers." And I'm like, "Yeah." So he said, "What you gonna do now?" I said, "Oh, I'm gonna sit back and write." And he said, "What are you gonna write?" I said, "I'll probably write some songs." And he said, "Before you get really deep off into it, you and I need to have a conversation." Just like that,
Mm.
But we never hooked back up because my parents was moving from Michigan down here to Houston. And I went back to Michigan to help them pack. Cause my cousin said, "You need to go help them pack up. So you can always come back out here, and you and David can hook back up." And he could tell, because even one of the songwriters for Ray Charles stayed across the street from my cousin, and he would come over and we would sit and talk. And then I seen the lifestyle he was living, and I was like, "Oh no, I don't want to live like that." I mean, yeah, man. I mean, he was a songwriter, but if you seen him, you would swear he couldn't spell his name.
Maybe he couldn't.
And I'm like, Okay, let me find. I went to school to be a counselor. Maybe I need to do. That's what I thought. Maybe I need to do that.
Mm. Well, like I say, everything that happens happens for good. And while we going through this, we don't see it that way. We would just be so focused on why it's not happening, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And now, once you get past that, once you get out of it, and then you're able to look back, you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Any last thoughts that you like to go ahead and add before we close up and get out of here tonight?
No, I think I've said enough for tonight.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you for
Oh
coming
yeah.
through and definitely thank you for allowing us to help Miss Crystal out tonight. And of course, like I always say, same place, same time. So we'll see you next week and good luck on your
Oh
interview.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying this. I enjoy talking to you because you have a variety of things to talk about, and and then we go back and it's kind of like we know each other, but we don't know each other. We never met, but we know each other because we have one thing in common. We both like music.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Definitely. Always a great time speaking to you. And
Yeah.
yeah, we gonna do this
Oh
again.
yeah.
So all right. Well, have a great week and thank you for coming through. I definitely appreciate you. Always bring high energy to the show. So I
I
appreciate that.
try.
All right. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Have a
You
good
too.
night. And tell everybody I said what's up. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. You have a good one too. Don't drink too much of
Okay.
that. Excuse me. Don't drink too much
Yeah.
of that
Yeah. You
wine.
know what? Yeah. I'm on my second glass and I might pour me just a little bit because it's so good. So we might do 3 glasses
Oh,
tonight.
okay. Okay. Okay.
All right. Enjoy that
Yes,
weather.
of course.
Send it my way.
Yeah.
All right.
Good
Good
night.
night. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is author Birdman313 coming through on Reading Between the Lines. He is our special guest, our reoccurring guest that will be here every week, same place, same time here, Reading Between the Lines, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, yeah, I just want to tell you that this wine really is good. So, he definitely gave me a little reminder to let you know before we get out of here. So, I'm sampling Canyon Road, Moscato, California. It's really is a good one. I like it. It's not overly sweet because I've had some wines that were super, super sweet that were ridiculous to where you can't even drink them. One that comes to mind, and I'm not here to bash any wine. You see how that rhymes? One that comes to mind, and I'm not here to bash any wine, but Jamal's Dream. Anybody out there, if you've ever tasted Jamal's Dream, holla at your boy. But I'll tell you one thing, I won't be trying that again. And then there's another one that's out. It's fairly new. XXXL. I don't know if anybody has seen that bottle in the store. XXXL. It's a cherry wine. They have cherry, pineapple, all these different flavors, and you're thinking, "Oh, this is cool. I like this." One of the worst tasting wines that I've ever tasted in my life. And again, I'm not here to bash any wines, but I won't be trying that one again. But this one is pretty good that I'm sampling tonight. Canyon Road Moscato. I definitely do like that. So let's go through the week, the days of the week. So Monday, we have Mental Mondays. We are giving you inspirational, motivational information to help you embrace your debt-free living from a mental aspect because we have to get our minds together before we can deal with the financial aspect. We have Transformational Tuesday. They go hand in hand. And once you get your mind together, then you can start to work on that physical. and you can work on how you show up in the world and show up in your new environment once you are and become the new you. Once you shed the old you and you become the new you. And of course, we're here tonight for Wind Down Wednesday. We're going to give you inspiration. We're going to give you motivation. And we're going to give you books. We're going to give you wine. We're going to give you great conversation. And we just wind down and have a great time. And you never know what's going to happen here, especially with me sampling wine and the antics that happen on the show here. You never know. Tomorrow, Thursday, Coaching Thursday. You can get anything from spiritual, mental, physical, financial, inspiration, motivation. Thursdays, same place, same time, 7 p.m. And then we head on into Friday, Financial Friday, where we dig deep into the financial pillar of debt-free living. So stop by, share, like, comment, tag a friend, invite them in. Never know what you're going to get when you come into the 4-1 podcast and reading between the wines. If you like tonight's burning question, if you want to chime in, again, that phone number is 609-200-1098. Again, that number is 609-200-1098. You can let me know how you feel. Give me your response. If there's something that you liked, something you didn't like, maybe we missed a point, maybe you like to add something, just go ahead and let me know. And I do recaps the next day and we revisit these things. So, if you're watching a replay, drop it in the comments. Let me know how you feel about it. If there is something that sparked interest in you today and you might say, I might want to learn a little bit more. I want to find out about what he was speaking about this, or, whatever the case may be, head on over to LarrenGaines.com and you can sign up for my free 15-minute consultation. And if you're serious about this, if you want to help get yourself to a better state when it comes to your financial aspect, you want to get out of debt, head on over to LarrenGaines.com, sign up for that free 15-minute consultation, and see if you're a good make sure I got this right. See if you're a good fit, because listen, not everybody is a good fit. This debt-free living journey is not for everybody. I speak to so many people, and so many people say, hey, yes, I'm interested in this. I want to get out of debt. But unless you're really serious about this, it's pretty much a waste of my time and your time. So I want to make sure that you're a good fit. So you definitely want to go ahead and head on over to LarrenGaines.com and fill out the form so that we can see and make sure that we're not wasting any time here. And you'll know if you're ready for this. And you'll know that if it's a waste of time, if you're still shopping, if you're still spending, if you're still overindulging, if you're still doing everything that goes against what we speak here, then you're not ready. But for those of you who have cut up the credit cards, thinking about cutting up the credit cards, don't want to swipe again, can't stand the situation, sick of the situation, want something different, want something better, don't know how you're going to get out, but want to get out, can see yourself in better places, but you might just be a little stuck. You might be a little scared. This might be for you. Again, head on over to Laren Gaines. I'm on various different social media platforms at Laren Gaines. Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, DLive, Twitch, and Dailymotion. You can also catch the audio version of this show on multiple different platforms. Just to name a few: iHeartRadio, Deezer, Amazon Music, Spotify, Audacity. There's a couple other ones. There's tons of them out there. So again, please do me a favor. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Those things work. Share and subscribe. Text a friend. DM them. Do whatever you need to do to help support. And for those of you out there who support, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you to Alex Coquito from Puerto Rico. Thank you to author Lauren Schultz. Thank you to my niece Okita. Thank you to SOS. Thank you to Sophie Davis in the UK. Thank you to Antonio Armenio. There are so many different people out there who support on so many different aspects, and I cannot, sit here and physically name each and every one of you, but I want to say thank you so much. Thank you to my family who watched me, listened to me. I appreciate you. And for those of you out there, there's more coming. There's more live coming where you get to see me and my guests interact. You can also sign up for my free monthly newsletter, Whispers of Wisdom. Again, you're going to get all of that information over at LarenGaines.com. And on that note, I will see each and every one of you tomorrow for Coaching Sessions Thursday. Same place, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here tomorrow. Thank you so much. Have a good night.